Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 560 based on novel. So let's start. The three of them joined forces to act together, and the energy fluctuations along the way almost reached a certain level of dumbfounding. As the length of the demon's robe increased, a more evil and destructive aura swept out from the demon's robe little by little. Although the demonic robes today are still condensed by the demonic power in Xiao Yang's body, the whole is illusory, but Xiao Yang feels that this item definitely has a deep connection with the demonic power. If you can get it yourself, you will be invincible in the 9 reincarnation rank. At the same time, Xiao Yang's body instantly burst into flames, and dark green evil flames surged, filling every part of the demon Xiao Yang's body, greedily overlooking everything in this world, as if following with the increase in Xiao Yang's use of demons. The latter's body and temperament are getting closer and closer to the real demon. At the same time, with Xiao Yang once again activating the power of the devil, and even condensing the devil's robes so solidly, a dark area that does not belong to the Great Thousand World and the extraterritorial evil race. In the originally dark and dead abyss, there was suddenly a series of hideous roaring sounds, and waves of surging energy kept flashing, as if under some kind of threat, involuntarily woke up. At the end of this piece of heaven and earth, there is a group of pitch-black liquid power like a black ant colony, which invades little by little. That is, the fluctuation of the evil race from outside the territory. The devil's robe is touched again. At this time, in the endless void, a slightly relieved voice sounded. My Xiao family can have this descendant, this king is very satisfied, but this most evil thing, I am afraid I can't pass it on to him, which is a big regret. After a while, this voice seemed to have found a huge team that was slowly nibbling away from a distance, and the voice was filled with a cold killing intent. Dark King, sorry. Another guilt-filled voice resounded slowly. Lord of the Fallen, you don't have to be like this. What happened back then wasn't your fault. Your actions are worthy of my Xiao clan's eternal friendship. Sooner or later, my Xiao clan will definitely make those guys pay a lot. Price. In the face of this guilt-filled voice, the voice of killing that despised everything swept out again. Get ready, this time, the extraterritorial evil clan seems to be determined and wants to completely obliterate the underworld. Although the army that came this time is full of familiar auras, the only one who does not see the leader of the extraterritorial breath. It's a pity. While the two were talking like this, a calm voice gently swept in. At the moment when the voice came out, the restless creatures in the abyss below also became quiet, and their blood boiled slightly, as if welcoming their king. The reincarnation of several generations will eventually come to an end, so let's fight, these years. Hearing this terrifying aura that surpassed the heavens and the earth, the originally cruel voice suddenly moved slightly. You don't have to say these words. I can't stop me from outside the area of what this asterisk does. And I have countless undead in the underworld, and I have never had any fear. Dead kings from all directions, millions of dead souls, gather, fallen angels, assemble. The devil is coming. The faint voice fell, and in the entire dim world, there was a continuous stream of sinister and evil auras, and the combined army of that number, like locusts, exuded terrifying fluctuations that shook the world, making people palpitate. The king of Pluto, the king of darkness, the king of fallen angels, the god of death. This time, I will see how you can protect the old and immortal guys from the Xiao clan. Don't talk about the underworld, even the entire Great Thousand World will be completely captured by us in a short time. And when the evil army in the distance began to move, the voices of hatred that surpassed the heavens and the earth slowly swept out. The endless evil aura hidden under this voice, even the current gold and silver dragon king never possessed. Xiao Yang, you? Inside the dragon god stone tablet, the two women watched Xiao Yang's actions, and their eyelids jumped violently. The demon robe on the latter's body seemed to be a real demon, and it was infiltrating Xiao Yang's body little by little, and even his soul. Middle. Buy me a little time. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he immediately slammed his entire body into the air, as if he had settled down. But with Xiao Yang's actions, the demonic flames flowing on the latter's skin and the power of the demonic robes actually gradually strengthen and merge. Xiao Yang knew that if he used all the demonic power in his body to perform a sure-kill blow, he could certainly threaten the powerhouse of the 9th-level reincarnation, but he would not be able to shake the Silver Dragon King who had reached the peak. Now that the situation is in danger, they only have one chance. And with the use of demon power again this time, Xiao Yang has a tendency to completely control this power. The two women looked at each other and immediately moved first. The Huashan Phantom and the 10-colored swallowing python waved. The fluctuations from the two were also very terrifying, but compared with the Silver Dragon King in the distance, it was still worse. A lot of distance. No matter what your talent and strength are, no one can change today's outcome. Seeing the almost desperate actions of the two women beside Xiao Yang, the Silver Dragon King's deep silver eyes surged slightly, and absolute power continued to pour out of the vortex around him, suppressing everyone little by little. Immediately, a pair of jade hands quickly folded in front of the three of them, as if they were constructing and evolving some ancient seal method. This world has long been filled with the elemental power of the Silver Dragon King. Once it is ignited by the latter, I am afraid that the end of Xiao Yang and the three will only be destroyed. However, the Silver Dragon King didn't seem to intend to let the three of them go so easily. His palms surged, and a more dazzling power slowly brewed. Hoo-ho-ho. The Silver Dragon King's seemingly understated move suddenly set off countless energy tides. The extremely rich elemental power made it very difficult for the two girls to breathe. The next moment, a faint blood mist appeared in the entire void, as if the entire space would explode in the next instant. 10-colored divine light. Kaelin frowned at this, but because of Long Hao and the two who were on the edge of the golden tower, they still raised their jade hands. A light bathed in the power of 10 colors suddenly sheltered Long Hao and the two of them. On the other hand, looking at Xiao Yang's whole body, those terrifying elemental powers had to be swallowed and digested little by little. Dragon God Blood Mark. Until this moment, a blood-colored bone dragon with a body exceeding 10,000 zhong and completely covering the entire void sky suddenly emerged from the tide of blood and energy, entrenched on top of everyone's heads. There is no skin, flesh, or even dragon scales on the body of the blood-colored bone dragon. There are only pieces of white bone that sparkle with mottled energy. There are countless ancient wave marks that are frightening in that kind of bone block, but the chest and head of the blood-colored bone dragon are slightly collapsed, as if it contains some kind of powerful destructive power. Looking at this violent blood-colored bone dragon, the smile on the face of the Silver Dragon King became more and more hideous. This is the perfect pet that he carefully carved out. During the countless years when it ruled the Dragon Clan, it has helped itself swallow up and obliterate countless powerhouses. Even the real powerhouses of the ninefold reincarnation will be destroyed in the blink of an eye in front of them. The huge volume, the rich destruction, the power of the elements, and a rare suffocation came to the face, as if no one could resist the latter, and the fluctuation of death became more and more intense. This power. Facing such a mortal situation, Cai Lin and Yun Yunmei's eyes were filled with determination at the same time, and the huge shadow of energy around them slowly showed signs of spontaneous combustion. Up to now, I am afraid that only by completely detonating the two shadows of energy can we buy time for Xiao Yang. Although this energy was condensed by their hard work. But they believed in Xiao Yang. The demon Xiao Yang was deadlocked in the air, the dark green flames and demon robes behind him were burning and waving like a madman, and they seemed to be inspiring Xiao Yang to have a deeper understanding. That appearance was clearly brewing with some kind of power enough to compete with the Silver Dragon King. Why the devil? What is power? What is true destruction? Reborn from destruction. The demon Xiao Yang seemed to be banished to an unknown country under the wave of the demon robe behind him. The two slowly chatted, and the demonic factors that seemed to have been dormant in his body were under enormous pressure from the Silver Dragon King. Underneath, not only is there no fear, but it looks even more crazy. It quickly merged into Xiao Yang's limbs and bones, making today's demon power even more evil and charming. A demon from ancient times is recovering little by little. Yun Yun. The blood-colored bone dragon unleashed by the Silver Dragon King was extremely magnificent. Kaelin hurriedly snorted. Without any hesitation, he led the 10-colored giant python behind him, and collided directly against the blood-colored bone dragon above the sky. The elemental power in the void has been completely ignited by the blood-colored bone dragon. Once it explodes completely, they will not have any vitality, and the source of the power to ignite the elements is the blood-colored bone dragon that is entrenched in the sky and looks down on all beings. No matter what, they must buy time for Xiao Yang now. Boom. The graceful shadow of the flower ***** and the 10-colored swallowing python burst into the sky in an instant, but the terrifying energy fluctuations emitted by the detonation of the two completely evaporated in the next instant. That feeling was like being the void in the blood-colored bone dragon devoured it. A devastating blood-colored light continued to slowly enlarge in the color scales and Yun Yun's beautiful eyes, and the countless blood mist power combined with the explosion of the elemental power made the entire void buzz. The bright red blood slowly overflowed along the red lips of the two women, but fortunately, there were just 2 Xeon attacks blocked, which did not cause too much damage to the two women. The Silver Dragon King silently glanced at the injured two women, and then his eyes stayed on Xiao Yang, who was motionless in midair. No matter how hard you struggle, you can't escape death. The Silver Dragon King was entrenched on the head of the bone dragon, slowly pacing towards the demon Xiao Yang, who was in a state of tranquility. The moment he walked, the smile on the corner of his mouth became more and more gloomy. Zi Yang is about to come into contact with the jade box of Dragon God's will, and the golden cocoon of the Golden Dragon King is also absorbed by herself. Now Xiao Yang's power is enough to help her completely advance to the peak. With the arrival of such a destructive posture of the Silver Dragon King, the void where Xiao Yang was located also began to change. Countless dark green liquids poured out of his body, and then changed, like a solid rock rising from the ground, surrounding him. The bedding is full. The dark green sand filled the surrounding rocks, as if the power of a demon was guarding Xiao Yang, so solid, it was dumbfounding. Is this the so-called demon power? It's really powerful, but you haven't completely controlled it yet. And this kind of rock and sand also belong to the elements. Just as the Silver Dragon King finished speaking, his entire body suddenly disappeared from everyone's sight. In the next moment, I could only see the top of this world in a blur, with barely a colorful beam of light, drawing a colorful elemental gas mark in the void like a flash in the pan, at an indescribable terrifying speed. Xiao Yang swooped away. Although the elemental beam is small, the attack contained in it is huge, and the offensive is silent. The two women, Long Hao and others, including Zi Yang who has already reached the top of the Golden Tower, are all holding their breaths at this time. It seems that under this death chi mark, he is as strong as Xiao Yang, and he can only wait for death. Go! Go and save Zi Yang first. Kaylin suddenly turned her head, stabilized the injury in her body, tried her best not to pay attention to such a devastating scene, and said to Yun Yun with a solemn expression. Yun Yun did not speak, but her body stood on the ground and did not move, and the corners of her lips, which had already been covered with blood, flashed an unprecedentedly miserable smile. I'm not going. Yun Yun slowly shook her head, raised her slender jade hand, and slowly held it against her eyebrows. Up to now, I am afraid I can only try it. Can I use my own life to inspire the imprint of the flower ***** and end this catastrophe? Yun Yun didn't have any confidence in such a shattering action, but she couldn't bear it, watching her beloved die in front of her. It was his idea. I believe in him. If he dies, I will follow him. Seeing Yun Yun's delicate body trembling slowly, and even the crazy act of perishing together, especially the scarlet degree in the latter's beautiful eyes, it was distressing. Cai Lin also said something heavy. The Medusa family is unswerving, even if she has endless pride in her blood and bones. After Xiao Xiao was born and the wedding was held in Dochi continent, she had already completely belonged to the latter, and what she said now is not the slightest false. Go. Immediately, the two women dragged their weak bodies and walked directly towards Long Hao and the two of them. They believed that Xiao Yang would never do anything unsure. Boom. The attacks collided, and the deafening humming sound suddenly turned into countless violent energy ripples and spread out, and the energy fluctuations contained in them were enough to set off the real doomsday. How come? The aftermath and sound of the explosion slowly subsided, but the Silver Dragon King saw that there was still a lifelike figure in the shattered midair below. Boom! A bell resembling the ancient times resounded abruptly through the heavens and the earth, causing the Silver Dragon King and the Scarlet Bone Dragon to move slightly, and even a giant cauldron of flames surrounded by 9 colors appeared beside him out of thin air, and suddenly enveloped her. In the space of the Flame God Cauldron, the Silver Dragon King only felt that his control over the elements of heaven and earth was temporarily out of order. Countless scorching holy flames, roasting little by little, burned his body and soul. Flaming God Cauldron? Looking at this scene, Silver Dragon King's face began to look hideous. An ant that can be pinched to death at will, is it so laborious to deal with? Even the Silver Dragon King did not know the divine power of the Yangshanding, she only knew that it was a thing of the Xiao clan, its offense and defense were integrated, and its defense was terrifying. It's just an idiot who guards himself and steals himself. Do you really think that you are the ***** who dominates the dragon race? Outside the huge Flame God Cauldron, an evil figure bathed in dark green energy and blood was holding a small object high and walked out of it step by step. The Flame God Cauldron temporarily bound the Silver Dragon King under the shroud, and undoubtedly bought enough time for Xiao Yang to unleash a devastating blow. The strongest attack that belongs to demons. Isn't this thing used to fill the power of the devil? In the distance, the two Kaylin women who shrouded Zi Yang slightly shook their heads. On the other side, Zi Yang, who had already been able to take down the will of the dragon god, was watching Xiao Yang and the Silver Dragon King fight, and her purple eyes became restless. That figure, so familiar. Who I am? Where the asterisk am I? Xi Yang held her head in her hands, her eyes were splitting, and she seemed to be trying to remember something. The crystal layer behind her head was also slowly surging, as if it would completely collapse. Little girl. Looking at such a shocking scene, Long Hao's expressions froze. They just wanted to step into the void of the Golden Giant Tower again, but found that the figure of Xi Yang in front of them had already disappeared. The latter was at an amazing speed, flying away at the other end of the void. The fluctuation of the explosion just now was too strong, causing the blood on the lips of the two women to be particularly conspicuous, and even Long Hao was implicated. The girl is moving fast, swiping towards the positions of Xiao Yang and the Silver Dragon King. The pale golden halo constantly surrounds Xi Yang, but the latter's delicate body is also trembling slightly under the explosion. In the original purple eyes of Ji Yu Bo, there is also a touch of ancient and complex taste. It seems that struggling hard, your talent and potential are very strong, but how can you be my enemy now? But I'm not one of those idiots in the center of the human world. I won't let an existence that threatens me grow wantonly. So, welcome your death. Even if the whole body is temporarily bound and shrouded by the Flame God Cauldron, the pressure on the Silver Dragon King's body is greatly reduced, but the latter will naturally not miss this great opportunity. The Silver Dragon King squeezed his wrist, and the void around Xiao Yang instantly collapsed. The terrifying destructive power generated by the collapse of countless voids turned into a black hole, which completely exploded in front of Xiao Yang. At the same time, a sneer appeared on the face of the demon Xiao Yang, and he immediately held the thing that looked like a pitch-black heart in both hands, trying to push it out slowly. Today's Xiao Yang, in order to condense this demon's attack, was unable to resist the attack of the Silver Dragon King at all, and could only endure the heart-piercing pain, and quickly condense the demon's power in his hand. Boom! It was at this moment that endless silver crystals suddenly appeared on Xi Yang's head. A gate of crystals was easily crushed by the dragon god's will in the latter's body, and immediately flew to the middle of the Silver Dragon King and the demon Xiao Yang, trying to use the crystal door. It attracts the attention of both of them. The attack that the two of them are condensing now has already surpassed the level of the quasi-god rank. Once it is detonated here, I am afraid it will cause a real crisis. Boom! In an instant, the devil's heart in the hands of the devil Xiao Yang slowly condensed and formed, and the elemental aura in the hands of the Silver Dragon King was thoroughly brewing. Are you still the Xi Yang I know? You want to, helped you to abuse. The demonic power in the demon Xiao Yang quickly subsided, and a rare tiredness appeared in his heart. Seeing Xi Yang's desperate move, he could only cheer up and roar at Xi Yang. Xiao Yang, I'm sorry. She has the grace of saving my life and the grace of enlightenment. As you said, I can't be a ruthless and unrighteous person. Ads by Pub Future. Pub Future ads. I can't just watch her die in front of me, even if it's a heinous crime. Xi Yang instantly flashed outside the Flame God Cauldron, slowly opening her arms, trying to block Xiao Yang's attack. It sounds nice. Who will protect the countless disasters caused by the Silver Dragon King to the Dragon Clan, and even the countless elites lost to the Dragon Clan's civil strife? She must die today. Whoever stops it will die. The consciousness of the demon Xiao Yang began to become blurred. He knew that if he dragged on like this, the opportunity he had finally created would be destroyed in one fell swoop, and the demon's heart on the palm of his hand gradually became restless, as if he would break free from his shackles at any time. In order to condense this thing, Xiao Yang was already exhausted. Once he fell into a faint, the battle would undoubtedly end in failure. Xi Yang, get out of the way. At this moment, Kaylin and Yunyun both exclaimed in surprise. Now that the Silver Dragon King is bound by the Flame God Cauldron, and his strength has plummeted, it is the best time to attack. If he misses this best opportunity, I am afraid that the battle situation will become anxious again. I'm sorry. If you want to kill me too. While talking, Xi Yang had no trace of leaving at all, and the tears in her eyes slowly dripped down. Obviously, even if it was because of the power of the dragon god's will to break free from the control of the Silver Dragon King, some weak memories still affected Xi Yang's mind. The Golden Dragon King is my uncle, and the Silver Dragon King has deliberately planned to kill him. Countless seniors of the dragon family died tragically at the hands of the Silver Dragon King. This hatred will never be shared, even you. After a while, looking at the attack that was about to escape from his hand, and the Silver Dragon King who was struggling to break through the shackles of the Flame God Cauldron in the distance, Xiao Yang seemed to have made a major decision, trying to suppress his breathing and anger as much as possible. And, look behind you, do you really think that something inferior to a beast is worth your sacrifice? Seeing Zi Yang, who was unmoved, Xiao Yang smiled. The flame god cauldron in the back was moved, obviously consuming countless power. A crisp ancient bell rang, and suddenly returned to Xiao Yang's Emperor Flame Ring. The best time to attack has disappeared. It's such a sweet scene. But does this king need your mercy? You all die together. Pseudo-magic, element blasting. At the moment when Zi Yang and the demon Xiao Yang were talking like this, the Silver Dragon King, who was in a quiet state suppressed by the flame god cauldron, suddenly sneered, and countless majestic elemental fluctuations all over his body burned little by little. No one can perform magical techniques alone, and now the Silver Dragon King's angered attacks are clearly above the quasi-divine arts, infinitely close to the realm of divine arts. Now, are you satisfied? The Silver Dragon King is a hopeless lunatic. Xiao Yang's face was calm, and the devil's heart in his hand burst out with a monstrous fighting intent. Seeing such a devastating attack, Zi Yang also slowly burst into a wry smile, and the dragon gods all over her body began to spontaneously ignite. Obviously, at this moment, the sequelae in the body because of the previous Silver Dragon King's tampering with memories, etc. all disappeared. But it was too late. The current situation is all self-inflicted. Let it all end on your own. The jade box containing the will of the dragon god flickered from Zi Yang, who seemed to want to use his life to open the jade box, release the power that destroyed everything, and calm it all down. No need, this is my demon battle. Blast me. In the face of Zi Yang's actions, Xiao Yang suddenly stretched out his hand and directly held the willow waist that the latter was holding, and immediately suppressed all the power in his body, and threw it towards the four people behind him. The devil's heart on the palm also slowly swept out the moment its voice fell. In an instant, two attacks appeared together in the space left by the dragon god, and the world changed color. The elemental power around the Silver Dragon King instantly became boiling, and then under his delicate control, it turned into a dazzling silver dragon palace. There were streaks of colorful rays of light, like some kind of terrifying fluctuation that surpassed all things, and they fell from the sky in the blink of an eye, hanging down like countless sharp barbs, and roaring away at Xiao Yang, who was looking crazy in the distance. The terrifying attack made the entire void tremble slightly, and the hearts of the two Kaelin girls in the distance could not help but mention their throats. Can this level of attack be resisted by the power of the demon Xiao Yang? At the same time, under the oppression of the Silver Dragon King, the body, skin, bones, and even the soul of the demon Xiao Yang all had a feeling of being judged and imprisoned. Dark green cold sweat slowly dripped from his forehead, and Xiao Yang lowered his head immediately, staring at the slightly rotating demon heart in the palm of his hand. Almost all the power in his body was poured out continuously. The power of holy flame, the power of the soul, the power of water, wood, and thunder, and the power gathered in the body of the demon heart in the palm of the hand is almost a hodgepodge. But such a noisy power gathers in the devil's heart, but it does not affect the purity of the devil's heart, as if these powers are just food for it to supplement its own extraordinary energy. Following the attack of the demon Xiao Yang with all his strength, a dark green color slowly emerged in this world. It seemed that even the ancient breath in the void could smell the palm of the demon Xiao Yang. Such destructive power. Silver Dragon King, blood debt is paid for in blood. With the Silver Dragon King's shot, the demon Xiao Yang also knew that this was the last blow. The entire void trembled slightly, but looking at this scene, the face of the demon Xiao Yang suddenly showed a wicked smile, and his palms were completely pulled out, as if he was showing off his most proud masterpiece to the world. Condensed the devil's heart that is now his strongest blow. Blast me. In the next instant, before the Silver Dragon King had any reaction, an unprecedented wave of frenzy emanated from the scarlet pupils of the demon Xiao Yang, and he immediately released the demon heart completely. Countless dark green energies are like a huge mouth of the abyss, releasing endless demonic breaths, spreading like a monstrous ocean, and the whole world is on the verge of collapse. Boom. In the next instant, the attack of the entire Silver Dragon Temple's power and the devil's heart completely touched together, and the terrifying destructive power that annihilated all things erupted in an instant. The earth-shattering humming sound swept out, and a devastating force converged into a dimensional storm in the mid-air of the two of them, wreaking havoc everywhere, as if even ordinary 9-layer reincarnation-level powerhouses could be strangled at will. The devil's heart exploded, but it occupies half of the dimensional storm. The dark green energy is like a thick liquid, and it is instantly attached to the elemental power exerted by the Silver Dragon King. The power of the devil is raging and destroying. The fluctuations spread like ripples, but they still couldn't break through the boundaries of the power of the elements, causing the inner uneasiness of the few people in the distance to expand rapidly. A moment later, with the outbreak of such a devastating attack, when the destructive energy raged out little by little, the golden giant tower, which had been in a quiet state in the distance, instantly burst out with an unprecedented domineering aura. The ancient golden energy ripples surging, driving some kind of power beyond human cognition, and it turned out that under the gaze of everyone, the energy fluctuations generated by these two attacks were completely annihilated with ease. It seems that this world is the place where the dragon god rests, and all the power that blatantly disobeys the dragon god will be suppressed by the golden giant tower. As such a terrifying attack was instantly annihilated by a mysterious force, everyone except the Silver Dragon King held their breath and stared at the twisted void that stood slightly above the ground, where there was an eternal black shadow, and a faint shadow looming. Not dead yet. As the energy fluctuations subsided, in the twisted void below, a nearly half-disabled figure was shrouded in a pool of blood, and the voice of the Silver Dragon King was filled with surprise. Although the attack just now was completely annihilated by the mysterious power in the Golden Giant Tower, the coercion of heaven and earth generated along the way of the Silver Dragon Palace finally turned into an invisible force, which accurately hit Xiao Yang's body. The kind of energy that was contaminated with the power of the elements, and it came from the hands of the Silver Dragon King, was enough to shatter the body of the demon Xiao Yang. However, after such a simple confrontation, the Silver Dragon King's evaluation of Xiao Yang's knowledge is still very high. This descendant of the Xiao family is indeed extraordinary in strength and temperament, but unfortunately it ends here. The powerful strike that condensed his life force was instantly annihilated. Feeling that the body was hit by the attack of the Silver Dragon King's elemental energy, Xiao Yang's face instantly turned pale. There was no trace of blood, not even a trace of blood. On the body that was already dying, there was a piercing sound of broken bones, which was transmitted from the body. Up to now, even Xiao Yang can't stop the Silver Dragon King. Lost. The Silver Dragon King will kill everyone here, and then take the will of the Dragon God in Ziyang's hands. At that time, even if the Golden Dragon King successfully exits the customs, it will probably form a very serious situation. How stupid. The Silver Dragon King didn't want to waste time on Xiao Yang, who was seriously injured and on the verge of death. Her goal was Ziyang, and even the will of the Dragon God in the latter's hand. Only by getting this thing will her inner unease completely disappear. With the prudence of the Silver Dragon King, naturally he will not let the variable of the Golden Dragon King threaten him. As long as he obtains the complete will of the Dragon God and cooperates with the lifeblood of everyone here, it is enough to completely strip the Golden Dragon King with the power of element. As soon as the words fell, the Silver Dragon King's eyes flashed with unparalleled greed, and he slowly stared at the purple-haired girl who was guarded by the shadow, especially the quiet jade box on the latter's jade hand. Refreshing and fascinated. If you want this kind of power, then step over my corpse. The power of the demons has all subsided, weakness, and a sense of weakness constantly invades Xiao Yang's mind. Even the body is attached to those mottled elemental energy, scarlet skin, blurred flesh, and even the body that can pass through. These indescribable scars, see the bones hidden beneath them. On top of the bones today, the elemental energy of the Silver Dragon King was occupied, and the pain that penetrated into the soul one after another continued to torment Xiao Yang's mind. And in such a seriously injured posture, especially behind Xiao Yang, the torso bones that controlled the connection of the entire body were actually smashed apart by the attack of the Silver Dragon King just now, and the entire body was as weak as falling apart. The intense pain and grief made Xiao Yang's consciousness blurred rapidly, and even the power of the 3 major blood vessels in his body was now dripping on the ground, causing the whole body to suddenly distort. The severity of the injury is simply appalling. If it were anyone else, he would have already perished. Today, Xiao Yang may only rely on the last obsession in his mind to stand tall. Xiao Yang. Looking at Xiao Yang's infiltrating body, which was infinitely close to the brink of death, heart-piercing and urgent voices poured out from the mouths of the 2 women. Seeing this scene, Ziyang, who was sheltered by Xiao Yang's open arms, felt more and more grief in her heart. Her eyes instantly became wet and red, and a deep self-blame emerged in her heart. Give it to me, and I can make you die together. You wanna die. The voice of the Silver Dragon King hadn't completely fallen, and I saw Ziyang, who was sheltered by Xiao Yang on the verge of death, her slender eyelashes slowly flickering, and then the jade box slowly held by the jade hand suddenly trembled, a burst of almost the beginning of heaven and earth opened. The ancient halo of Qi seems to be infiltrating a little bit from the jade box. She wanted to be like the Golden Dragon King, directly swallowing the will of the Dragon God. But she forgot that the Golden Dragon King dared to devour the Qianshu Keel. That is because the Golden Dragon King had the power to rival everything before, and he had enough confidence. Now that Xi Yang is imitating like this, it is undoubtedly her own death. After all, the gap between the two is too huge. Just looking for a dead end. It's ridiculous that you want to devour the complete will of the Dragon God without the strength of the 9 reincarnation rank. In the face of Xi Yang's actions, the Silver Dragon King is extremely disdainful of it. But that's okay, only in this case can the trace of the Dragon God's will that was devoured by Xi Yang return to its place and form a complete Dragon God's will. Are you crazy? Do you know what you're devouring? Xiao Yang dragged his body that could collapse at any time, turned his head and roared at Xi Yang behind him. Even because of his anger, the corners of his mouth coughed out a pool of turbid blood, and even his vision became blurred. I'm sorry, the current situation is all my fault. But I don't want you to die. The girl behind her became choked up, even her skin and soul were being swallowed up by the divine power overflowing from the jade box, but there was no sign of holding back her hands. Tears had already spread all over her cheeks. Let's die together. The Silver Dragon King slowly raised his hand, the blood-colored bone dragon, and the power of the elements surged together, attacking the two of them little by little, and the breath of death rapidly magnified in the eyes of the two. Under the elemental power that overrides the sky and the earth, all resistance is as useless as ants. It seems that it will only happen in the next moment. Etc. Etc. The fire of life that was burning around Kaylin and Yunyun in the distance, tried to surging towards Xiao Yang and blasted away. Even if they both perished together, they would never watch Xiao Yang fall here like this, but just as he moved, he was desperately stopped by Long Hao. Before Kaylin and Yunyun turned their heads and made a sound, a huge humming sound, like some kind of dominant aura that surpassed all rules, suddenly filled the entire void. That voice, that kind of power, was like a dragon king who had been sleeping for a long time, reborn after countless years of reincarnation. The golden giant cocoon finally shattered completely at this moment, turning into a bright golden sun that flickered in this world, and a slightly illusory golden figure instantly appeared in front of the Silver Dragon King, smashing Xiao Yang and Xi Yang's bodies. Shrouded down. As soon as the latter appeared, the elemental power exerted by the Silver Dragon King evaporated out of thin air, and a huge sound of anger slowly swept out. Moreover, with the appearance of this figure, some kind of strange coercion appeared in the whole world. Master! Uncle Master! Looking at the illusory figure bathed in the golden halo, Xiao Yang slowly spit out a weak voice, and then his entire body fell out of thin air, and his eyes slowly closed. Now that the Golden Dragon King has successfully exited the customs, his mission is also over. This time, in order to resist the Silver Dragon King, he did his best, and the injuries in his body were too serious. But if it can be recovered, the power of the devil is enough to be completely controlled by him, and his strength will break through again. Of course, these are all things to come. Boom. Among the golden rays of light, a man wearing a golden gown slowly pointed towards Xiao Yang, and a soft ray of light instantly sheltered Xiao Yang, and even the will of the dragon god, which began to flicker in Xi Yang's hands behind him, was sealed again. Little guy, thank you for your hard work. Next, leave it to me. Looking at this thin figure who almost fell into the hands of the Silver Dragon King in order to buy himself time, the Golden Dragon King's voice suddenly became serious. However, it is not difficult to find that this dragon who is capable of subverting everything has an almost crazy fluctuation in his pupils at this time. If he took a step at night, once Xiao Yang and others had any accident, the price would be too huge. Golden Dragon King. Looking at this scene, the sharp voice of the Silver Dragon King swept the whole world. Our grievances, as well as the catastrophe of the dragon race, will be completely ended in this battle. The vast golden scorching sun emerged in the sky, and the domineering voice that despised everything sounded again, but the latter's voice was filled with extreme anger and killing intent. The Silver Dragon King blatantly provoked civil strife in the Dragon Clan, wiped out many elites of the Dragon Clan, and now hurts Xiao Yang like this, which makes the Golden Dragon King's inner guilt and anger continue to magnify. Dragon Lord, completely recovered. At this moment, the two of Long Hao below had a feeling of excitement that filled their eyes with tears filling their bodies. The Golden Dragon King in its heyday, let alone the Silver Dragon King, even if it is the slaughter angel of the Angel Kingdom, it is an equal existence. That kind of power has already surpassed the peak category of this world, and it cannot be expressed in words at all. Even today's Silver Dragon King can't compare. Xiao Yang. For a time the three Kaylin girls surrounded Xiao Yang, who was in a coma, and her voice trembled. Even with the protection of the Golden Dragon King's power, Xiao Yan's body showed no sign of improvement. The burning of the elemental power made the immortal power in Xiao Yan's body unable to move, the bones of the torso were broken, and so on. The injury was too severe, but fortunately the injury was temporarily stopped. I am right. Looking at the faint emerald-colored halo behind the Golden Dragon King, there was a gloomy look in the eyes of the Silver Dragon King. The thing I worried about the most had happened. This guy actually devoured the Tianshu Keel in such a short period of time. His talent and strength, even if the dragon body is destroyed, cannot be covered. After you die, I will enshrine your dragon egg in front of the Dragon God Stone Tablet in the Dragon Tomb, so that you can spend forever in repentance before you wake up next time. After you hatch a new baby, you will still be the younger sister of my Golden Dragon King. But today, you need to use your life to atone for the heinous crime you committed. The Golden Dragon King slowly walked out of the Golden Sun, and the originally handsome face was filled with a killing intent that could be learned from the world. Don't be ashamed. The Silver Dragon King looked at the Golden Dragon King in a state of rage, sneered, and then the silver dragon scales were all over his body, and even the latter's head flashed a faint halo. Crack! Without any hesitation, the speed of the Golden Dragon King exploded, the golden dragon claws poured out of his hands, and the blood-colored bone dragon that the Silver Dragon King was proud of shattered out of thin air. Countless elemental powers are scattered at will, and this void will be completely shaken. Now that the Golden Dragon King, who devoured the bones of the Dragon God, may no longer be at the 9 reincarnation rank, but has reached a whole new level. This video will end here.